Students of Tainan慈中 Senior High School learn to cherish resources as they organize a shoe drive for African children. Panda Restaurant Group raises fund which is donated to慈to help international disaster relief. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Siri Su. Thank you for joining us. Tainan慈Senior High School in Taiwan organized a shoe drive to collect secondhand shoes from Tainan慈Elementary School and other places to be given to African children.
你知道非洲的小孩啊，他们都没有鞋子可以穿，然后每天没有穿鞋子踩在土地上，都会有一些寄生虫跑进去他的脚里面。
12th graders from Tainan慈Senior High School went to Tainan慈Elementary School to encourage classmates to donate second-hand shoes to Africa.
泡泡用好，然后把泡泡大概的用掉，然后再深层清洁。
The students brushed and cleaned each pair of shoes carefully. Many of the students cleaned the shoes for the first time.
I saw the situation of Africa in the pictures, so I sympathize with the people there and I want to help.
The students have also learned a lot through the shoe drive.
Seeing that they're enthusiastic about collecting second-hand shoes, I feel very happy.
I asked the students whether they can give of themselves to complete this mission. They all volunteered to support this activity. Through this shoe drive, they have learned a lot by helping others.
Students and volunteers worked together to sort and bag the clean second-hand shoes, ready to send them to the children in Africa.
At Only Primary School in Taichung, a firm pine tree that has been around for more than 30 years died last year. So the volunteer Zhang Yingden took the dead tree and made pens with it to be given to the teachers and students. 86-year-old Chen Xiuluan is among the first alumni of Only Primary School. She recalls much memories of the school. For the alumni, every part of the campus brings back memories. The firm pine tree, which has been planted in front of the school gate for more than 30 years, died last year.
After all, it has been around 30 to 40 years watching our students. I kept thinking about ways to revive the fern pine tree.
Fortunately, Chen Xiuluan's son, who is a Tzu volunteer, took back the dead tree and made wenchang pens with it to be given to the teachers and students.
Every day I think of ways to reuse things that are still usable. We should not waste materials. Instead, we should make the best use of it.
The students cherish these wenchang pens as this gift has taught them a precious lesson about cherishing resources. In Changsha of Hunan Province, Tzu volunteers have been caring for middle-aged man Xia Zhongyao, who is paralyzed from the waist down. For more than 10 years, he has been bedridden and taken care of by his older brother and sister. After 3 years of Tzu volunteers' companionship, Xia has gradually opened up his closed mind. This is the beautiful scenery of Jinghua Village in Lianhua Township. However, inside the house, the rooms are cluttered, giving off a foul smell. Xia Zhongyao, who is partially paralyzed, has been bedridden for more than 10 years. The stainless steel sink is the place to bathe him and where he spits. Since he's used to leaning against the bed as he watches TV, there's a hole in the wall behind his head. Tzu volunteers clean up the living environment, while the visiting doctor suggests Xia should undergo rehabilitation. This way he can try sitting in a wheelchair and see a different world.
Let's take the first step today. How is that? Your arms are still very strong. You can take care of yourself with your hands. When our rehabilitation doctor saw how strong your arms are, he told us that there is much hope for you.
Despite the encouragement of the volunteers, Xia refuses to move. Therefore, the volunteers can only wait to encourage him in the future. When the volunteers visit Xia again, he has moved to a nursing home. This is because his brother is getting old and his sister-in-law suffered a stroke. Xia is feeling well as he does not have to worry about food or boarding. The volunteer shaves him and hands in a copy of Tzu Ji Monthly.
这话是非常有用的，天生我材必有用，对吧？
我一个坑子，是坑子。
那你就不是了，你
咋的我也是坑子。
你再看一下喽，真的给你有启发的。
真的，这就是自己给你们收的了。
不会。
越他就讲以前那补有一样的嘞，越掐在你的心里面就舒服。
The volunteer also hands Xia a picture of the Buddha, which he places next to his bed. Even though Xia still refuses to undergo rehabilitation, he has gradually opened up his closed mind. In Taiwan, Tzu Ji volunteer Huang Yuwen was diagnosed with breast cancer 9 years ago. About 3 years ago, the doctor discovered that the cancer cells have spread to her entire body and therefore predicted she could live for 3 more months. Not fearing death, she continues to volunteer with Tzu Ji, helping other less fortunate people. I asked the doctor how long I can live. The doctor made a hand gesture like this. I said 3 years. He replied, how is that possible? 3 months. I said, oh.
Most people cannot accept the fact they have cancer upon hearing about it. Why did it happen to me? She was no exception. She feels really low for a long time. I told her, in fact, death is not scary because everyone will eventually face death at the end of their lives.
She told me, do not be afraid, everyone eventually dies, as long as the process is not too painful. When I heard her words, I immediately came to a realization. After watching the Water Repentance Sutra adaptation, I suddenly realized that I'm not in a position to complain about my mother, regardless of how she treats me. Starting the next day, I visit my mother every day. Then I followed Tzu Ji brothers and sisters to visit key recipients. When my health conditions became more stabilized, they encouraged me and said, just volunteer more. Do not be too pessimistic. This might be helpful for your health conditions. In the beginning, I was not used to her calling me mom. However, later I got used to this. After a while, I began to feel that she's just like my own child. When I felt ill, I could not get up either. I had an electric bed at home, which can be elevated with the press of a button. Then I persuaded uncle to change his bed so he can support himself with it. I kept talking to him about this, and he finally agreed. I did not lie to you, right? I'm just joking. Since I've used it, I do not pay attention to my illness, and I do not see myself as a patient. I continue to volunteer, and then I gradually realized that being sick is not stopping me. Instead, it helps me as I volunteer. Treating dementia often includes medication, which may or may not be useful. In the case of Alzheimer's disease, drugs are mainly used to help conduction of nerves in the brain, but cannot block amyloid deposits in the brain, which causes dementia. Since the medicine cannot cure this problem, some people in the medical profession advocate non-drug treatment.
This box contains medication to treat dementia, and in addition to pills, there are also patches, which have fewer side effects. This medication is quite effective. At present, there are 2 types of dementia medicines in Taiwan, acetylcholinesterase inhibitor for mild and moderate dementia, The price for 1 day of treatment is $2 to $3 US. The other major category is NMDA receptor antagonists for moderate to severe Alzheimer's disease, with daily doses costing $1.50.
这两种药物并不是对每一种失智的成因都有效那样子。
These two drugs are not effective for each dementia case. It is effective for the most common Alzheimer's disease, but for frontotemporal dementia, in some cases, using acetylcholine esterase inhibitors may actually be harmful.
反而其实或许会有害那样子。
With a wide range of dementia, the prescribing drugs can actually be a major headache. While acetylcholine esterase inhibitors and NMDA receptor antagonists are mainly used to treat Alzheimer's disease, frontotemporal dementia has no real treatment. Only antidepressants and other drugs can be used to fight the patient's mental problems. In addition, even if it is the right medication, it may not be effective for different patients.
即使它是阿兹海默症
Even though one suffers from Alzheimer's disease, the effectiveness of acetylcholine esterase inhibitors has little effect on some 30 to 50% of patients.
The medical community is still struggling to understand the larger issue of dementia and the effect of drugs which they believe can only slow the disease instead of cure it. For this reason, it is imperative to take advantage of the golden period with acetylcholine esterase inhibitors used to enhance nerve conduction. But if the patient has not yet experienced symptoms, or if the patient's brain cells have been destroyed too much, the drug has no effectiveness.
If you don't have any symptom, it makes no sense to eat this medicine. And even if your brain cells begin to diminish, your function is normal and it won't make your brain cells retreat, but it will actually enhance it.
To take this medicine or not is actually a complicated issue that involves a lot of discussion and some ethical factors.
我都说这是一个伦理议题。如果失智症是一个
I would say that this is an ethical issue. If a dementia sufferer in the family takes this medicine and it slows the deterioration, it could lengthen the suffering for the family. So I think that there's no standard answer for taking medicine.
吃药好还是不吃药好，这没有一个标准的答案。
我认为是有必要吃啊，因为我们人。
I think it's necessary to take the medicine because it can affect the course of dementia, perhaps for 3 to 5 years. And if they don't take these drugs, this patient will constantly run into problems with his family.
恼着他自己家人和自己生活的状态。1、
2、3、4、5、6、7、8、9、10，手肘弯起来。
There is no standard answer as to how to cure dementia. One group advocates non-drug treatment, which includes activities and courses, such as playing with balloons. Some also believe that stimulating the senses of dementia patients and their limbs can achieve the effect of delaying degeneration.
好，来，再来1，再来2 ，OK， 好，再来1。
你必须要给它共存的，哦。
You have to coexist with dementia, so the effect of the drug is most effective in the early stages. But what is most important is not the drug treatment. If you don't think of dementia as a disease, then why is it diagnosed?
它何必要诊断呢？
At DaAi慈中 Hospital Dementia Center, non-drug treatment of dementia is a key project as they arrange community classes and regularly hold activities to delay the onset of dementia.
1、2哈，来，过来哈，1、2、OK，
After they learned about dementia, they brought their family members and some of the elders whom they suspect had the disease here to identify them as having dementia. After diagnosing them with dementia, they were brought back to the hospital later.
Chiayi County's Dalian Township is a rural area, and transportation is quite inconvenient, as few know about dementia. In fact, many cases of dementia have been neglected by their families. The Dalian慈中 Dementia Center even sends medical staff to the countryside to discover new cases. They not only carry this out in Chiayi, but elsewhere such as Zhanghua, Yunlin, Tainan, and Kaohsiung.
没几个月就遇到。
A few months ago, I met Director Chow and talked to him about this problem with dementia. I said we must do this immediately and something must be done in our community.
他比较喜欢穿这种。
Tainan Zhangzhou neighborhood chief Su Sunzhen is taking out his 90-year-old mother's favorite clothes. She suffers from dementia and was sent to a nursing home. Su wanted to take care of his mother, so he returned home and took caregiver leave.
I had to give up my mother because she was very unreasonable. Those with dementia are naturally unreasonable, but my mood at that time was there was no way I could feel like this.
From this family wedding picture on the wall, we can see this old mother with dark hair begin to gray and lose all of her memory. Taking care of someone with dementia may be more difficult than one thinks.
We ourselves had no way to understand the elderly, so how can a foreign worker do this? They have even more problems in communication and speech. Therefore, I feel it is not very appropriate to ask a foreign worker to care for those with dementia.
Through the guidance of DaAi慈中 Hospital, this neighborhood chief has asked for public funding to set up a location in the community where they can actively work to prevent dementia. Some 20 elderly people come here, as 9 of them have already been diagnosed with dementia. Because of his mother, Sue feels a special bond for elders in the community. Although they can no longer preserve their memory, many are doing all they can to allow them to enjoy the final stage of their life.
The CEO of Panda Restaurant Group, Andrew Chen, once traveled to Taiwan to visit the Tzu Chi Foundation. After getting to know about Tzu Chi, he has been supporting Tzu Chi U.S. headquarters. After Hurricane Harvey swept through Texas this year, Panda Restaurant Group launched fundraising activities. This group later donated the funding to Red Cross and Tzu Chi for disaster relief work.
Pork. No pork. Okay, that's good. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay, have a good evening.
American Red Cross disaster relief dining car and Tzu Chi Mobile Clinic reached into the Hurricane Harvey disaster areas, serving the affected residents. This relief effort is partially supported by Panda Restaurants Group.
During the Hurricane Harvey, in addition to provide funding to support Tzu Chi to rebuild, to help rebuild, we also provide food donations to the community. Overall, our associate in Texas, they serve over 50,000 family and friends, and we partner with Tzu Chi and to bring heart meal to those in need.
I want to express my sincere gratitude to the CEO of the Panda Restaurant Group, Andrew Chen. In the aftermath of this year's Hurricane Harvey, he canvassed for donations in his company, and he also raised funds from the public. After the fundraising, his company once again donated a lot of money. He later divided this funding into 2 parts. He gave one of the parts to Red Cross and the other to Tzu Chi.
CEO Andrew Chen's wife, Peggy Chen, held the donation ceremony on behalf of Panda Restaurants Group. Thanks to the dedication of this group, disaster victims in the United States have the non-government emergency rescue platform to rely on.
In Taiwan, Chinese painter Yang Zhaogui is 72 years old and she lives in Kaohsiung. She still remembers that one of her teachers paid tuition fee for her when she was young. To repay this love, she not only served as a foster mother, but she has also donated her paintings to the Taiwan Fund for Children and Families in Kaohsiung to help raise funds for this institution.
Having painted more than 30 years, Chinese painting teacher Yang Zhaogui not only passes on painting skills to students, but also serves as a moral educator.
Teacher Yan said that my financial ability is limited, so the thing I can do is to sell my paintings and donate the money I have earned. Teacher Yan always does good deeds silently.
Yang has been donating her paintings for many years. This year, she donated 38 pieces of ink painting to the Taiwan Fund for Children and Families in Kaohsiung. Doing good deeds silently, just because when she was young, she received assistance from some kind-hearted people in her time of need.
I had a very difficult time when I was young. Sometimes when we're unable to pay tuition fees, my teacher will pay for us. I don't want to talk about this because this will remind me of that teacher.
Yang will never forget the assistance she has received from her teacher. To repay this love to society, she once served as a foster mother more than 30 years ago.
If I can give children a more stable and loving place, then I'll try my best to help them.
She has no longer served as foster mother due to her health condition, but she always worries about the disadvantaged children over the years.
She has been very concerned about the children in TFCF. After she learned painting, she thinks that she can use her expertise to help those in need by donating her paintings.
Each piece of Yang's work is full of ingenuity and love, which is also embedded with gratitude and blessings.
Since 2010, Taoyuan's Tima members will visit the Genesis Social Welfare Foundation to give their residents teeth scaling on a regular basis. This time, a total of 6 doctors, including dermatologists, 8 nurses, and 30-some volunteers, served nearly 50 PVS patients. Let's take a look.
Getting a tooth scaling for PVS patients is often met with fright and insecurity. Thankfully, Tima members work with Tzu Chi volunteers to ease and encourage the patients. Sometimes, songs are sung to distract as well. This temporary dental clinic is filled with love and warmth.
In Tzu Chi's International Medical Association, I saw many passionate brothers and sisters of all ages. I felt since I am still able, I can do my best to repay society.
Dr. Zhen plainly states that he loved the thrill of making money when he was younger. But entering his middle-aged years, he found he had more time and joined Tima in 2010. It was then he wanted to inspire his daughter, who is also a dentist, to feel the joy of giving.
It's really because my dad has been volunteering at free clinics and with Tima that I got involved. I felt maybe upon my graduation from dental school, I can give back to society alongside my father.
By serving PVS patients, doctors not only need the skill set but also empathy. By watching her father give selflessly, Zhen Luoyuan has known the joy of giving at an early age.
The Sumerakan group in Indonesia recognizes Tzu Chi's ideals. This group recently provided a space in its shopping mall as the venue for Tzu Chi to hold the Jingsi exhibition. In addition to tasting a new Jingsi product, DaAi vegan noodles, some local residents also donated their food coin banks. Let's take a look.
In a square of the shopping mall, Tzu Chi volunteers are promoting Jingsi products. They also seize this chance to introduce the DaAi vegan noodles, which hits the market this year.
When I was going to buy the new product, they let me taste it. After giving it a try, I think the taste is no different from the noodles with garlic. It is delicious.
Volunteers also encourage employees of the shopping mall and local residents to help those in need by donating their field coin banks. Cindy brought her daughter to contribute their share.
I often saw and heard the good deeds carried out by Tzu Chi, so I recognize Tzu Chi's charity missions.
I hope people who are suffering are safe and can live a peaceful life just like us.
It is believed that more and more people will be influenced to help those in need, since everyone has a seed of compassion in their hearts.
In Beijing, China, at the nutrition exhibition organized by China Fit, Jingsi Books and Cafe and DaAi Technology also set up booths to promote Jingsi food products and eco-friendly clothes. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.